We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Believe in Podcast. I am with our great co-host, Terrence Copper, former Saints wide receiver, got more accolades than I can repeat on the show. We'd be here all night talking about all the great stuff that our good friend Terrence has done. Terrence, what's up tonight, my man?
Blake, what's going on, man?
Well, look, episode 1 in the books, episode 2, here we come. Huge show in store, though, tonight. Sean Payton, allegedly in trade talks with the Panthers. We'll touch on that. The Saints released their schedule. I'll pick your brain a lot on that. On the schedule, we were talking a little bit off air about 3 divisional games to start off the season. That's absolutely ridiculous. We'll touch on that and so much more. But, man, I don't really even know where to start. But, nevertheless, it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, look, I'm excited about it. And like I say, talking about the schedule, that's crazy. I've never seen anything like it before. I know we're going to get into it, but that's crazy.
All right, well, let's do this. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to your Facebook group. So many of you joining us are watching us on Facebook. Do us a favor right now. Hit the like and share. Share to all the Saints and NFL Facebook groups. If you're listening to us on the Believe or AYS YouTube channels, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform, don't forget to hit that subscribe, rate, and review there as well. TC, let's pay some bills around this thing because we got a lot to talk about. None better than our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, we'll be back in 48 seconds. Our partners over at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's easy to get started, so head on over to their website. Use betonline.ag. Use that promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. T-City, listen, I've been thinking about this all day. You played for Sean Payton. And
yes, sir.
You know him better than I do. But if you missed it today, it was widely reported Michael McCarthy, not the Dallas head coach, but Mike McCarthy, the reporter, reported today that the Carolina Panthers are trying to initiate trade talks with Sean Payton to be their next head coach. Man, I got to tell you, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this. Feels like Sean's just trying to negotiate with the TV contract. I don't believe it for a second. I really don't. But but you know how players and coaches are. Is he getting that itch already?
You know what? The crazy thing about it is he may be missing the game. He may be missing the game. And my whole thing is, what are they going to trade for him?
Well, if it's in division, like if this were, I trash on Cleveland all the time, but I can't do that. They're a playoff team. If this were the Cleveland of old, okay, maybe a couple first round picks, 2 or 3, maybe a late round pick. But since this is in division, you're going to have to give me 2, 3 first round picks and a player. And you know what I would do too, TC? What? I was picking my brain about this. Could you imagine Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey in the same backfield? I know that the salary cap would be crazy, but man, I mean, if you're going to trade for Sean Payton, I mean, wouldn't you want to? In division, you got to get something big, bro, right?
You got to get something big. I don't know if the Panthers got enough on their roster or enough good players on their roster that I'm going to trade for. Even with Christian McCaffrey, we talk about Christian McCaffrey. He's never healthy. When is he healthy?
True. So true.
You know, and truthfully, I mean, I know this is Saints podcast, but the Panthers need to get rid of McCaffrey because, like I told you before, Coach Parcells used to always say you can't help the club in the tub, and he stays hurt.
I got to write that down. You can't help the club in the tub.
Yeah, he stays hurt. You know, so I wouldn't want to see McCaffrey here because, judging by his record and his past, he's not going to play like that many games anyway. You know, and plus, I wouldn't make the trade because I don't want Coach Payton in my division.
I agree with that.
Yep.
If he's getting the itch, go do it somewhere else.
Yeah,
you know,
or come back. Well, I guess he can't come back, but yeah, go somewhere else.
It seems like Amazon's playing a little tough to get. Look, this seems Sean Payton to me. Okay, Tom Brady signs a contract with Fox for $37 million a year. Okay, Sean Payton comes back and says, "Well, hey, I want 30," and they're like, "See ya." And then this feels typical Sean Payton to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, well, what you gonna pay me? TC, speaking on that though, Sean walked away, and I know that you talked about this and on an old podcast, but news is news, and your former head coach possibly going in division. Is it wild? You know, I was thinking about this today. Is it wild to you that a guy in an announcer booth is the most paid person, like, per year in that building? Like, if you really think about it, like, Tom Brady's going to be in the same building as himself playing. Like, he makes more going up to the booth than him throwing a touchdown pass to Mike Evans.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy. But you know what? The thing about it is, those announcers, those commentators, they do a lot for the game. They make the game interesting. Because truthfully, to me, the best announcer now is Tony Romo.
Oh,
I feel like Tony Romo should be the highest paid. Him and Collins. I like Collins as well. But Tony Romo should be the highest paid announcer right now than anybody. But I don't know. It's crazy, man. This is the crazy thing about it is they throwing all this money at a Tom Brady, or if Coach Payton get it, but they really don't know how good they are yet when it comes to announcing games.
They don't. I mean, they got to sit Tom Brady down in front of a microphone and listen to him before they give him $37 million a year, right?
Exactly.
I mean, but TC, here's the thing, and look, as the season gets here and we continue to do the live stream podcast, I'm going to get more X's and O's out of you that maybe the normal fan doesn't know. You can't teach what you know, right? Like, to the normal fan, what you've done and what you do, it's not typical. You know, again, half of 1% does what you ever did. Would you be mad though if Sean Payton came back to coach this quickly? You know, we saw Tom come out of retirement. Would you be upset with Sean if he did it?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because when you go home from you coaching and you having that work schedule where you there 5 o'clock in the morning and you don't get home until 10 o'clock at night, there's a lot of stuff at home that you don't have to deal with, you know, because you're just focused on coaching. Well, sometimes, I'm not saying this is the reason, but sometimes when you're home all the time and you got so much time on your hand, you want to go back and do something different or do something. So I wouldn't be mad if he came back to coach. I feel like he's probably getting that itch to coach again. He's been doing it for 20 some years, you know, so I wouldn't be mad if he came back and coach, because I know he's getting that itch. Tom Brady, he retired for what, a couple of months?
If that.
And he's back. You know, so I wouldn't be mad.
Even the Tom Brady thing, there's a lot of shadiness behind it. You know, look, TC, and this is, again, you know him better than I don't. So again, you know what I'm about to do. Tell me where I'm wrong, okay? Right. Because you're more level-headed than me. But if you remember, late last week, early this week. No, it was last week. The whole Tom Brady Miami Dolphins saga. The head coach, Sean Payton. Okay, and so my thought is, look, one time, all right, it's a stupid little leak. They're trying to make something happen in Miami, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That gets shot down. TC, this is take two.
Yeah.
So what happens if Sean Payton starts getting into another coaching search, another coaching part of this?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, TC, I got to be honest, it seems like Sean just wanted out of New Orleans and he didn't want the Saints to pay him out. It's what it sounds like to me. Now, again, you're gonna level head me here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, tell me where I'm wrong.
He's too connected to the community. He's too connected to the Saints. He's too connected to the Saints to do it like that. I just feel like he just got an itch to come back. And truthfully, he's the best coach that's on the market that's not coaching. He's the best coach.
No question.
Yeah, so you're going to have a ton of teams that's going to be reaching out, trying to trade for him, whether he's initiating it or not, or behind the scenes, somebody else initiating it. But to me, if I'm a team and I need a coach, I'm going to throw the kitchen sink trying to get him to come out of retirement, because good coaches are hard to come by. And Coach Payton is a proven coach with the Super Bowl, and he's amazing running your offense. So when you get Coach Payton, you're going to get a head coach, you're going to get a great leader, and you're going to get an amazing offensive coordinator. So you're going to get three of those things with one person. So I don't know why a team wouldn't, especially if I need a coach, why a team wouldn't come after Coach Payton. So I don't think it's Coach Payton that's kind of doing this behind the scenes. I just feel like teams want Coach Payton because he's the best coach out there.
Well, it's certainly his agent. It's certainly somebody, but I tend to agree with you a little bit. Last thing, and I want to get to the Saints schedule. We got a lot of Saints actual football to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about the coordinator. Now, look, as a former center, guy played at the FCS. Look, I love talking offense, like more sometimes than I love to breathe. Take me there though. Like, are there things, because you've been around a lot of great coaches? Okay, what separates Sean Payton? Because Bill Parcells had Bill Belichick and he had Sean Payton. The one he talks about the most and glowingly the most was Sean. When you're in the meeting room, when you're in the when you're going through plays, like, and he's like, "Hey, Drew, this is gonna work. You gotta listen. Like, this is gonna work." Does your football IQ, your mind just start exploding week after week being around Sean Payton?
Yes, you know why? Because when we're in our meeting rooms and I'll give you a prime example. So fans, I'm gonna take you through what it looks like the day when we're installing the offense.
Oh God,
so
good.
Yeah, so when we get to, let's say, okay, the game is on Sunday. Monday we come in, we lift weights, work out, watch film from the game on Sunday. Tuesday is our day off. Wednesday is when we install the offense as a team. And when we install the offense, we're going to be in the team meeting room, and we're going to put up the team that we're playing. We're going to put them up there, and we're going to have everybody at the positions, like 3 deep at the position. So if they're in a 4-3, you're going to have the 4 down linemen and everybody that plays. So you got a defensive end, you got 3 guys at defensive end, there's first string, second string, third string, right on down to the safeties. So you're going to have that depth chart. And then on top of that depth chart, you're going to have their weaknesses and their strengths. So you're going to know exactly what this person do, what he's good at, what he struggles at. If he's a high motor guy, it's going to be on that paper. He's a high motor guy. You got to keep working. He's never going to stop. Or if it's a defensive back, this guy, his footwork is bad, or this guy's a hitter. He's not really a cover guy. So you're going to have all this stuff broken down for you. And so once we split up to individuals to where now the Coach Payton has the offense, now every play we go through and we're installing these plays, this is no lie, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes sometimes, maybe about 15 minutes sometimes, to go through one play. 15 to 20 minutes just to break down one play. He is so detailed with everything. That's talking about from your split, from where you line up, where if you're going to sit in the curl area, this is what I want you to do. I need you to do this because so this guy can do this and we can do this. And so everything is so detailed and it's broken down so where when it comes to game time, you know exactly what you're going to do. You know exactly. And it's not just for one coverage. So when we work in these plays, Of course, we got plays designed for certain coverages, but okay, if they're in this coverage, this is what we're gonna do. If they're in this coverage, this is how we're gonna do it. So it's not just we're just throwing plays up there. We're actually breaking out each play, no matter what coverage they're running. We know how to run this play. We know how to beat them on certain things. So it's just his detail, his attention to detail on every single play is amazing. And it don't matter how long it takes to go through this play. We're gonna get through that play. We're gonna pay attention to detail. And that's why the team is so good, because they pay attention to detail, every single detail, especially offensively.
Last one, because this is so just goddamn good. Let's just say you talked about you spend about 15 to 20 minutes on one play. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go through the kill stuff too? Or is that the play that's already called in? 2 plays called in? Because look, the favorite word of Drew Brees was Blue Day 7 and kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your trips bunch right, like the ultimate Sean Payton formation, trips bunch right, you got Colston or Michael Thomas X on the outside. Like if Drew knows it's cover 2 and you got a backside hitch, like is that something y'all do during the week, or is it a play that was already called in the huddle, or because you talk about the 15, 20 minutes, is the kill sign put into that?
Yes. So those plays, we already worked these plays already. So when Drew will call a play, he's calling 2 plays. So he'll call a play, then he'll say killed, and he'll call a different play. So when we break the huddle, we already got 2 plays in our head. And Drew is the one that decides if he's going to kill it to the next play or if he's going to stay with that play. But he calls 2 plays in the huddle. And also we have alert stuff as well. So you may hear Drew say alert, alert, alert. And so what that is if we're running the ball to the left, let's say that safety drops down to that side and he alerts it. All we're going to do is go. So we may call strong right, power 36. 36, we go into the right side. We're going to the 6 hole.
Right.
Let's say the safety comes down on that side. Or
he'll flip it or something like that.
We'll flip it. He'll say alert, alert, alert. But he's going to call 2 plays in the huddle again. So it's a strong right, power 36, alert 35. So if that safety drops down and we can't go to the 6 hole, he's gonna say alert, alert, alert. We already know we're going the opposite way. So it's a lot of things that we already got plugged in that's already there. Even you got yellow calls. Yellow calls is just a bunch of, we go through the cadence, yellow 18, but they don't understand that yellow is what can I say? A fake word for us. So we're not going to snap that ball if he starts saying yellow. We're not going to snap it. But the defense doesn't know that. So they're going to show their hand. If they're blitzing and we get about to snap the ball, they're blitzing, they're going to show it. And then he get out of it and get into the regular cadence. So it's a lot he do.
We got to get to Saints. But I just want to say this. It's a lot like Payton. So there was a podcast with Ray Lewis and Peyton Manning. And it was eating Ray Lewis alive. He's 30 minutes into this thing, and he's like, all right, what does Omaha mean? What does Omaha mean? What does Omaha? Yeah. He goes, Ray, it never meant anything. It never meant anything. It was the verbal communication. If I lifted my left leg, it was this. If I patted my left butt cheek, it was this. If I hit my helmet, it was this. And I had y'all confused with the Omahas. Y'all had no idea. You weren't paying attention to anything else. And Terrence, look, you can't put a price on what you just said. Right? Like you can't, because I've never been there. I thought it was fantastic. Okay. We've had our piece on Sean and Drew and all that, taking us in the deep dive. Look, man, at least for me, there's no better content than what we just talked about. But we do got to get to the same schedule. The schedule was released today. We're going to throw it up here. Zach, can you or Pooh, can you all throw the schedule up here for us? So, TC, look, the schedule was released today. I'll run through it in order. Let's just go through the first 3 games. You got Atlanta. You're at home against Atlanta. You go to Tampa, and then you're home against Carolina. let's stop there very quickly because you said something to me off camera. In your entire playing career, you never went up against 3 divisional opponents in a row. We're seeing the NFL do that. There are actually, and I was sent this, there are actually 2 other teams that it's happened to. It's kind of like a test run.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do? What I mean, that seems off. That's not the NFL. What's going on here in your opinion?
You know what? I don't know, but like I told you earlier, I've never seen anything like that. And truthfully, the way that schedule is set up, those first 3 games could really decide if we win our division or not off the first 3 games. Because
Right.
if you let those games go, now you 0-3 in the division. You know, that's a tough hole to climb out of. You know, that's not being 0-3, but there's no division games. Those division games count. You know, of course, all the rest of the games count as well. They're just important, but you really want to win those division games. And if you playing 3 back to back, you know, that's tough. I've never seen anything like it. Now we have played games where, you know, we had 1 division game early or the first game of the year, 1
Right.
division game, but even maybe 2 division games in a row at the beginning of the season, maybe, but never have I seen a team play 3 division games, the first 3 games out the box. I've never seen that.
It doesn't feel right playing the Falcons week 1. It like legitimately doesn't feel right to have the 28-3 Super Bowl losing Atlanta Falcons as week 1. You know, like I don't know what they're trying to look. Roger Goodell and his staff are smarter than me. Okay. And so for that reason, there's got to be some reason why they changed it. And I understand that, but it doesn't feel right. And look, we're creatures of habit. Like we don't like change. Okay. But you know, like you said, you could be 0-3 and you could have, I mean, Copper, you look, you could do a lot of good things in, you know, the rest of the way, but you're still 0-3 in your division.
Yes.
I still think though, they're 2-1 in those first 3. I don't trust Marcus Mariota. I don't trust the Panthers.
Nope.
You know what the truth is? Even though it is divisional games, man, you could come out of this 2-1. And you said Tuesday, we've had Tampa's number.
Yeah.
Copper, what if you start the season 3-0 in your division?
That's what I'm thinking. 3-0. I mean, and to kind of go back to, tell me this, do we play Tampa home or away?
Tampa is on the road.
Now, and what game is the second game?
No. We have Tampa at home. So it's Atlanta on the road, Tampa at home, and Carolina on the road. I apologize. So
you know
Tampa's
what?
at home.
When I look at that schedule and I see Tampa at home, that helps out the Saints. And the reason why I say that, not just because of the home field advantage, but you in the dome for the first 2 games. And it's hot in September. It gets hot. We went down to, when I played in New Orleans, we went down to Tampa early in the season like that. And when I tell you, Tampa was beating us pretty bad. So we was in a 2-minute drill the entire second half, and it's 100 degrees outside. I don't know if anybody know what 2-minute drill is. 2-minute drill is when you don't huddle, everything is hurry up because you can beat by 3 or 4 touchdowns in the second half. We couldn't get anything going. So after that game was over with, every receiver had to get an IV because they was cramping up because it was just so hot and so brutal playing early in the season that we had in Florida. That's brutal. So just the fact playing indoors 2 weeks in a row, that helps out the Saints tremendously.
You know, Copper, that's why you're the GOAT. I didn't even think about that. You know, like I don't think about the dome stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't think about being indoors. That's something crucial. Now, look, we'll talk a lot about those first 3 weeks because it's divisional. Copper, here was the biggest thing for me. It's these next 3 weeks. Okay, you're at home. Okay, so look, let's just call it. Even if you lose to Tampa, okay, it's very likely that you come 2-1. And you got the Vikings at home. You got struggling Seattle at home,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go Bengals.
It
Okay,
gets
so
brutal.
look, man,
It
look,
gets brutal.
it's brutal, but at least you're at home. So look, TC, this is what we were talking about last week. Your brutal games are at home. Like
True.
if you look at it, Bengals at home, LA at home. Now you could say San Francisco on the road, but you got the Ravens at home. You got the Raiders at home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really and truthfully, the toughest opponent that you have on the road that's not in your division is San Francisco. Of course it is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Roger. Of course it is. It's always that. But look, you got Joe Burrow coming back home. You got to go. I mean, look, the Vikings, I get it's in London. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, but regardless, like it's a neutral site, like
Yeah.
whatever. So, look, it's a brutal schedule. I don't know, TC. I don't want to overreact,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I don't want to overreact, but they could get there, man. With good play, they can get there. It lines up perfectly for them in a way.
Yeah. You know what? They're gonna have to play the butt off though. Every week they cannot overlook any team that they're gonna play.
No doubt.
They got to go into it focused every single week because even though some of these games they're like I said, they're at home, but we seen last year, like you said on the last podcast, we should have beat the Giants at home
Oh God.
and we gave it away. So even though we're playing home, you still can't take these guys lightly, these teams lightly, because it's just so hard to win in the NFL. I do like the fact that we are playing, what is the AFC North, with the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, and Cleveland. Because when you look at it, the Steelers may be a heavy run. I know back in the past, Steelers used to be heavy run.
Well, and they got Kenny Pickett, a rookie quarterback. They're going to have to run the ball with Najee.
They got to run it. And then Baltimore, they done drafted like 3 tight ends. So they're going back to their regular offense. They're going to be running it. And then you have the Browns. They're going to be a running team. They got two amazing running backs in Chubb and who's the other running back that came from Kansas City? Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. Right.
Kareem Hunt. And so I feel like if we come back and we are a resemblance of what we were last year when it comes to stopping the run, I think that's great for us being able to stop their run because our run defense was amazing last year. So it's going to be a tough schedule. We got to take it one game at a time. But when I look at this schedule, I look at it like it could be good, but it also could be real bad.
Right.
Yeah, it could get real bad.
Because look, the truth is from week 6 to quite honestly, week 16 or week 17, it's a dogfight.
Yes.
Okay, because you got the reigning AFC champs Bengals, Kyler Murray's a dog, Raiders, you can't overlook them with Josh McDaniels. How do you start Lamar? Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh, man. I mean, Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season ever in his history, so why would he start now?
That's crazy.
LA, the Super Bowl champions, San Francisco, then you got the Bucks again, then you got a bye. Okay, the one thing is that they have a bye. It's not early in the season as it normally has been. Then you have a break with the Falcons. I say break, you know what I mean. But you got Deshaun Watson and that running attack, and then you got Jalen Hurts and that team that beat you a season ago.
Mm-hmm.
TC, you got to start 3-0 in a way.
You have
at
to.
least 2-1. At least 2-1. Because look, and I don't mean this in a wrong way. I'm a Saints fan through and through. I love Joe Burrow to death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as a guy that's grown up and covers LSU now, and covering the Saints, Joe Burrow's a different guy in this boot, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things that you got to be cautious of. Like sometimes it's like you were talking about in 2006. Atlanta didn't have a shot. It didn't matter what you're doing.
Right.
You got Jamar and you got Joe. It's going to be a different beast.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. Is there, when you look at the schedule, is this team a playoff team? Because, man, I mean, look, I think that they can get there, but like you said, it's either one way or the other. I don't think either they're going to really do good or they're going to be like last season. It's going to be on the I don't want to say bad side, but maybe you're 7-10 or something like that.
This is a playoff team because I feel like we will win the division. We will win our division. Like I said, the other games, of course, the other games is important as well, but I think we can win our division. I just think our division is weak this year. Is weak. And even with Tom Brady, like I said, we said on the last podcast, we done beat him the last 6 times we played him. So I feel like our division is weak. So I feel like that is going to help us a lot. The fact our division is weak and we can win our division. So, but I feel like we are a playoff team. But one thing we have to take it, one thing how we did it when we had 16 games in the season, and then was 17, but we played it by quarters. All we was trying to do
four quarters, right?
4 quarters. We're trying to go 3-1 every quarter. Go 3-1. If you go 3-1, what is that? You are
in old schedule, you're 12-4.
You're 12-4. You're in. You want to win all your home games and win half of your away games. So there you go again.
That's so Sean Payton-esque.
That is.
That's so Bill Parcells-esque.
That's it. But that's what you want to do.
TC, let me ask you a personal question. How much did Bill Parcells and Sean Payton rub off on you? Because I've like when you just said that, like your face turned to Sean Payton. Like I literally felt like I was just talking to Sean Payton. Like I mean, seriously. Is that so? Look, you play for Parcells and Payton. Is that preached elsewhere? Like, is that kind of a known thing in the league? Like how you want to attack it?
So you got to think about it. My career has been under the same coaching staff almost my entire career. So like I said, I retired in my 10th year. So listen to this right here. I was in Dallas for 2 years, right? With Coach Payton as offense coordinator, Bill Parcells head coach, Todd Haley was the receiver coach, right? Todd Haley was the receiver coach. Well, when I left Dallas, I went to New Orleans where Sean Payton was there again, was the head coach. When I left New Orleans, I played a half a year with Baltimore. But when I left Baltimore, I went to the Chiefs where Todd Haley, who was my receiver coach in Dallas, was the head coach. So I've been in the same coaching regime almost my entire career. So I'm going to talk a lot like the way they talk because that's how I came up in the league. That's how I stayed in the league.
It's so interesting, man. It's like, so my old head coach in college, he could never find his keys. And for some reason, neither can I. I feel like we adopt their habits. Yes. When you're around another man that you look up to for that long, you start creating their habits.
And your team takes on the personality of your head coach.
It kind of does. Like, bro, this is so Louisiana. Bro, we came up with a rap song called Hit the Sean Payton. And he's hitting the Soldier Boy in the back of the locker room. I mean, what is that, Sean? Like, come on, bro. But to your point, the team took that on though. You got Jameis in the corner with crutches, like I mean,
it's a great time in the locker room when you win it, man. It's always a good time in the locker room when you win it.
So let's get to this. Let's get to the end of it or end of the schedule, and then we'll. I don't know what I did. I have no idea. Somebody help me. There we go. That's why you have producers. That's exactly why you have producers. All right, so the back end's a little bit easier. Okay, 15, 16, 17, or 17, 18. TC, when you look at this as a player, so let's talk about this. When you look at this as a player, do you go into it and say like, hey, let's split the middle of the season. Let's win the first of the season, split the middle of the season, and win the last part of the season. Like, is that something you think about? Or are you like game to game? Like, hey, we're going to do this. Like when you as a player see the schedule, how do you break it down?
So when we first see the schedule, because like I said, it's a difference when you're looking at the schedule when you're in season and when it's just the off season like it is now. Because the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at the schedule. We're like, okay, we got these guys. We can beat them. This game going to be a dogfight. I don't know about these guys because they tough. I don't know. You never say that you're going to lose, but you just be like, I don't know. But that's how we look at it each game during the off season. Now, when the season come around, we take it game by game. We take it game by game. You can't afford to look ahead at anybody because if you don't pay attention to what you're doing right now, you're gonna get beat. You have to take and stay focused on each team week to week. You cannot look ahead. It's a rat trap if you look ahead. I'm telling you, you got to stay focused on week to week.
I don't know how to ask this, but I look at his schedule and I look at Jameis and I'm worried. The only reason because it's not like you're playing we're playing the AFC North. You're playing the toughest historically defensive division in the NFL over the last 20 years.
Yep.
But the one thing for me, and TC, I said this on my show that before doing this, but he's more mature. Does a mature Jameis lead you to, getting you a couple more wins than maybe you shouldn't have? And the interesting thing for me is if Jameis is able to, because look, Jameis won you the game in Seattle last year. People don't remember that. Like him having 80 rushing yards won you the game. Alvin didn't run for 1.9 yards per carry.
Yep.
Do you think this is a brutal schedule for any quarterback though? Because TC, they're tied, I think, for fourth toughest schedule in the NFL. I mean, that's just so brutal, man.
It is brutal. But I think Winston, the fact that he has matured, as long as we keep him out of certain situations, and I know this sounds cliche, but we have to run the ball. Again, he has matured, but I don't want to have to test him every week throwing the ball 40 times a game. That's how you get to 30 picks. So
what do you do? What do you do with Alvin being out though?
I mean, we got to make it happen by committee. One thing you got to realize that we like throwing the screen a lot. A screen play is an extended run for us. That's a run play for us, the screens. So we just got to mix stuff up and get some passes out there, but maybe not down the field all the time, just getting it out in your receiver's hands quickly. Some quick game stuff, but just really trying not to put Winston in certain situations. Now we got to get in those situations, and you get a lot of money, then you got to do what you got to do because you are the quarterback. You are an NFL quarterback. So you got to do what you have to do. But if we can keep him out of certain situations all the time, I think we'll be successful. But you don't want to have a team where our run game is non-existent because that's when it's going to get bad.
How do I want to say or ask you this? I agree. Were you ever in training camp and you were like, you saw a guy that like from Delgado or Xavier or BYU or like Washington State Tech University, and like I still have like a very small inkling that the Saints, the reason they don't get another running back is because they feel like they got somebody, like who is that guy that they feel like they just went and stole, because that was like the Sean Payton mantra. It's like the Jeff Iron mantra. So I agree with you. I think that they're going to do it by committee. I feel like they think that they stole somebody, and we'll see. But look, you got good, you got talent, you got a great defense.
Yep.
If you go 12-5, 11-4, or 13-4 and with this schedule, TC, you could be a number one seed.
Yeah.
And if you do something like that, then Man, sky's the limit. Couple more. Fire in your questions for TC. Hashtag ask TC. Anything else, brother? I mean, look, we can talk. We're going to talk so much about this team and so much about the schedule. But what else have you seen, or what else are you thinking that we could touch on tonight for tonight's podcast?
You know, I think we touched on a lot, man, just with what we was talking about. Like I said, we're gonna talk a lot about Saints anyway. We're gonna talk a lot about. I think that the stuff we hit on was some good stuff. I think that I just feel like the Saints have to come out on fire. Those first 3 games, going back to that, they have to come out on fire. If we come out and we go 1-2, the first 3 games, it may get bad. It could get bad. We need to come out 2-1 or 3-0 those first 3 games.
How short is the leash? Let me ask you this: how short is the leash for Dennis Allen?
Oh, he's there for a while.
Okay,
you got to give him time. He's the head coach. You can't turn the keys over to him and then okay, well, if you don't do well this year, we getting rid of you next year. You got to give him time. You have to give him time. He has to implement his character on the kids, which he already have on that defense. So they have to get to know who he is, not as a defensive coordinator, but as a guy that's going to run the show. So you got to give him time to really build that culture. I think the culture is already set. That's why I was glad they hired somebody already on staff that understood the culture, that's been around the culture. So I think the culture is already set, but I still feel like you have to give him time. I don't think you need to put anything on him where he's stressing like, oh Lord, if we don't have a good season this year, I'm gonna lose my job. Now, don't get me wrong, the NFL does stand for not for long. So don't get that part twisted. So he still got to win, but I don't think that if he go out there this year and not have a good season, that he's on the hot seat, because like you said earlier, they do have the 4th strongest schedule in the league. And they do have a new offensive coordinator, even though Pete's been there for a while, still a new offensive coordinator. You still lost your head coach, so it's still things that is there to, I'm not going to say give him an excuse, because there is no excuses when you play in the league. There is no excuses, but there will be reasons why, if we don't have a good season, that, okay, give him another opportunity. I wouldn't jump the gun trying to get rid of him, put him on the hot seat if we don't have a good season. I feel like we are going to have a good season, but even if we don't, I feel like it's his job to in 3 years.
Last thing for me, the amount of money that you pay Tyrann Mathieu in the offseason isn't enough. You know what I mean? Like, when I look at this schedule, it's not enough now. Because again, I really did love Marcus Williams. I thought he was so underrated because the Minnesota Miracle just dampened his ability. You need that dog. Let's look again. Kick LSU out of it. Okay. Got my chesticles. I did chest today. And hey, you know what it's like on Thursdays when you do chest. Like my chest was like, it got tight. I was, for all of you listening to the audio podcast, I just spread my dude. I'm telling you, bro. Like, I'm like a white boy Chad in here. I like spread my chest. I'm like, yeah, man. But seriously, that's why you pay Tyrann Mathieu what you pay Tyrann. Because look, man, here's another thing. You're going up against some of the AFC West teams too. You got the Raiders, you got Tampa, you got the Rams. Man, look, I think that's it. It might be the most. Look, I feel like TC, we're going to sit up at the end of the season and say it was the most underrated signing in Saints history.
But you know what though? How many years he signed for?
4. The last two are voidable.
Okay.
God, I'm going to spill some beans. Oh, God, I'll just say it. The way that Tyrann's camp told me, he got an $18 million signing bonus the first year of his contract. It's like 2.5 million. So like the Saints really could be like a one and done and voided after this year. Okay, like they could it could be over. Okay, take like a $4 million dead money hit next season if they don't want him. Bro, he's paying it's like a pay to play with him. Like if he gets 5 interceptions in year 2, they owe him like $2.5 million. Like the bonuses on the back end are ridiculous.
Well, that's good.
So
I mean, they got him for a steal. They got him for a steal, and
they did.
And it's a business. I think it's a business. Truthfully, if I'm in the front office of New Orleans, that is your job to make sure that because we was over the cap, early. We was over the cap before free agency. So the fact that we even got under the cap to even have enough money to get him here, and I'm just thankful for the fact that he wanted to come here and he took the pay cut because he could have got more money somewhere else. So I'm just thankful for that. But the front office of New Orleans Saints, they always find a way to get it done. So we got him for a steal, but would you think anything different? Their front office is great at what they do.
Not from Mickey. Like this is how I envision it. Tom Benson started a business and he hired an accountant. And the guy's name was Mickey. Let's just use let's use a name named Mickey. And he was saving Benson money. And he walks up to Mickey and he was like, "Hey, brother, I just bought the Saints. Do you like football?" And he goes, I play fantasy all the time. And then he finds out how to money because if you notice with Mickey, he's always got a Jeff Ireland. And the 3 seasons he didn't, 7-9, 7-9, and 7-9. Okay, Mickey is the ultimate businessman. Like he is the general manager. I'm going to hire Jeff Ireland. Oh, you told a kid that he sucks at football. So what? TC, look, I'm not political. He told a kid he sucked. I mean, it got overblown. 2017 draft. Jeff Ireland, build a statue for him. Do whatever you got to do. But I agree. The way that they've done things is so Mickey light. And
I'm telling you, they are amazing at what they do. And so that's my hat goes off to him. Like I said, just to get a player of his caliber for that amount of money, you got to take your hat off to the Saints front office. They are great at just to get under the cap was amazing.
If Tyrann makes one more All-Pro, he ties Ed Reed, brother.
That's crazy,
right? brother. Seriously, you just signed Ed Reed, and you don't. Like Rich Eisen. Tyrann was on Rich Eisen today, and he goes, "Bro, you do know this. You make one more All-Pro, you tie Ed Reed." He goes, "I'm trying to win a Super Bowl."
I like that. Hey,
didn't care. When they asked about like the Hall of Fame, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to win a Super Bowl." I'm telling you, man, there's something about this team, bro. Something about this team. Okay. It's been great tonight. We've gone an hour. It's been fun. How do we want to conclude? I feel like we got to come up with a special way to conclude, but for tonight, how do we want to conclude tonight's podcast?
I don't know how you want to do it.
What do you think the record is? How about that? Look, we're not going to hold ourselves to it. Give me 11-6. Give me 11-6, and they win it, and they win the division.
I like it, but I'm gonna go.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna go 10-7.
Okay,
they win the division. They win the division, and we win the whole thing. I think we start peaking right at the right time.
That's some spooky stuff, dog. Hold on. That's some spooky stuff. Okay. Okay.
I
Hey,
like it.
if the Saints win the Super Bowl, can you think they go full Texas and be like, "We're back"? All right. I gotta say this. I want to conclude like this. I don't know her name. I think it's Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my wife just renewed our season tickets. We're on the 50. TC, we're on row 22 on the 50-yard line. Shout out to I think it's Angela. The best Bloody Marys on the planet happen in the Superdome. That's how I want to conclude it. I'm looking forward to the best Bloody Mary of all time in the Superdome. You can't take my toy away from me. Look, I mean, we got, we have our NIL deals with Mike Jones. Who? You can't take my toys away from me. But for real though, TC, I was excited about last season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more excited about this season than I've ever been.
Oh yeah, and everybody should be. Everybody, what we did last year under so much adversity, and we still was right there of making the playoffs. If who needed to win? Was it the Colts needed to lose or win or something like that?
Colts needed to win, and we needed to win, and we lost. And Colts lost.
Yeah, the Colts lost. We won, but the Colts got beat.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so and we had
Carson Wentz. You can't trust a redheaded man.
So just the fact of what we did last year, and again, this is the new year. You can't bank on what we did last year. It's a new year, but it should give everybody hope because we upgraded our schedule. We upgraded our roster. So I feel like this year is maybe it.
All I know, Believe in Saints podcast on the sidelines. TC, when you get us down the sidelines, I'm talking so much trash to Tom Brady. I might be the ending of the Saints franchise for talking trash to that man. We'll have to talk about the time I talked to Troy Aikman on the sidelines.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't good for us. He told me to shut up. He told me to shut my mouth. But hey, dude, you don't come in the dome, bro. Like we're fighting. Like
that's right.
But nevertheless, I'll leave it alone for another podcast. All right, guys. My name is Blake Ruffino. This is Terrence Copper. 2 nights a week, man. Dude, I'm telling you, we're building something here like the Saints.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all again next Tuesday. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.